Good morning. Welcome back to Flint Creek Transport. My name is Justin. Kind of a cloudy day here in upstate New York, probably 35 degrees. We're just heading into winter, and you know, sometimes it's kind of depressing, but we do get some beautiful days. Like this morning's not bad, but just very gray. All part of it. Starting to deal with the snow and the ice and all that good stuff. Today I want to talk a little bit about tires. Let's head in and show you guys what we got cooking. Before we get started, so I'm not sure if this video is going to get released before the Continental video, but the Continental video that I'm talking about is I was down in Texas at Uvalde, Texas to their test track and got to see some tires and drive some vehicles and learn a lot about tires and all that good stuff. So I just kind of wait until that video gets released or until they approve the video so that I can release it. So that's why like I said, I'm not sure if this video is going to go before or after, but when I was down there, there was a tire that kind of caught my eye and I was like, I want to try it out. So one of the problems that we're having is, I say a problem, we're not really having a problem. The biggest thing is price. And in the trucking industry, you got to watch your price. You got to watch, you try to do things as efficiently as possible, right? So I saw a tire down there that looked pretty decent for our application. For our application up here in New York, you know, our whole driveway here is all gravel. We get into gravel a lot. Obviously, to pave everything here would be very, very expensive. But in the wintertime, it's a little bit harder to plow and get rid of the ice and snow and stuff like that. And because of our harsh winters, you know, all of our trucks, you know, we have to have pretty decent tires or pretty aggressive treaded tires for winter. In the South, you guys can probably run something totally different and probably run steer tires the whole way around and no big deal. But what we do is we need some fairly aggressive mud, snow, you know, all around tires. So we run a lot of Michelin XDN2. That's been a great tire for us. And I've tried different tires. I tried a Continental HD3 hybrid, I think it was. Had a lot of issues with that, with like keeping stones in the tire and drilling into the rubber. An HDR, maybe, I don't know, HD tire, Continental, I forget all the names, but anyway, I want to show you this tire that I got. So all the other tires that we were running just did not compare. They were definitely cheaper in price than the Michelin, but just did not compare in mileage to the Michelin tire. Michelin's a great brand and they make a great tire, but the problem is the price, and prices have gotten a little bit out of hand. So looking at getting something different, and so here's our stack of tires in here, and if you look, this right here, we got two different tires. So here is a Michelin XDN2, and here is a here's a Continental. So this gives you a little idea what they look like. They're very similar tread pattern. They both have a lot of siping, which is really nice for, you know, for snow in the wintertime, gives you traction. This XDN2, and then this is called an HDW2, and they use, according to the tech down in Texas that I was talking with, they said they use a lot of these in Canada. And actually it says somewhere on the side, it says Canada on it, which I thought was kind of unique right there, Canada. So I'm not sure why it would say that on there, but I'm gonna go try these tires out. It's 16 ply, you know, our size, 11R 24.5. It's a fairly wide tire. It's one of those things where the price was very decent on it, and I want to see how it compares to the XDN2 in miles. You know, we get over 200,000 miles on a set of XDN2s, and I want to see how we compare with this. With our steer tires, we had kind of done the same thing, the same comparison. We used Michelin XZE, and we actually used, I think, an X-Line Energy, or like one other different, more of a over-the-road steer tire. And they both wear out very nice, very even. It's a very, very solid steer tire. But the biggest thing that the problem is the price was too high for the miles that we were getting, right? So what I compare it to, what we've been using is Continental's HS3. And let me say, guys, I'm a Michelin fan. My personal vehicles all have Michelin on. Michelin makes a solid tire. They make a great tire, and like on my personal vehicles, I run Michelin. I know I do pay a little bit more, but like my Yukon, my wife drives a lot. Our company trucks, we get a little better price, but I put Michelin on all of them. For truck tires, though, if I can find a tire that's comparable and runs out just as good, and find no difference and a better price point, that's the key. So in car tires and pickup tires, stuff like that, I used to run Cooper. I ran a lot of different ones, and then I threw a set of Michelin Defenders on. I'm like, oh, I'm never going back. What a difference. So with these Continentals, this is a Continental HS3, and compared to the Michelin XZE, and this HS3 has been awesome for us. Runs out very good. Just been a great tire, and we get literally within 5,000 miles of the XZE, and therefore we get it also at a much better price, probably about $100, almost $200 cheaper than the XZE, which is like, why even try running the XZE? It's just too expensive. It's a great tire. There's nothing wrong with the tire, but these Continentals have been pretty solid for us. So that's kind of why we're running that one. So back to these drive tires, I already have several sets of Virgins on our trucks that are XDN2s that we're running out, and we keep track of our miles and what we get out of them, and different tires, different trucks will get different miles based on what they do. These are going to be more of an over the road. I want to try to compare it to something that is something over the road to see how many miles we can get out. I also want to see how they do in the winter here with traction in the snow, things like that. And then traction when they get down really low. That is going to be really interesting to see. That's one maybe slight flaw with the Michelin XDN2 is when it gets down. Actually, I might have some here. When it gets down, yeah, it gets down pretty low, right? And there's hardly any siping, and it just does not have the grip. It runs out really good, but it doesn't have the grip. So we try to put these recaps on. We get about 100,000 miles out of a set of recaps. We try to put them on in the fall and then run them, as long as we can to December or even January sometimes of the following year, to try to burn them right off and then take them off and put a good set on again. But not always does it hold out that way. It just depends what the guys are doing, things like that. So, when it gets down, that's what's going to be interesting to see what kind of traction we got when it gets, say it's got 10, 30 seconds on, or 14, what does it look like? Or even 6, how does it look? And not only that, just, how they wear. Is it even? Is it not even? One of the things that I don't like about this tire is that it is a directional tire. I don't really like directional because when you go to rotate them, you got to technically dismount them, and it's quite the process. But we're going to see how they wear. before we rotate. Maybe we'll rotate them one time. We're hoping, but this is really a test, and I'll keep you guys posted on how things go and how things run out. But I'm very eager to see how they run. For the price, I was very happy with the price. Again, there's a couple $100 difference. I want to say around 200 or so. You know, you start looking at that, and you got to take that times 8, right? So 1,600 bucks, whatever it is, you know, difference in price per truck, and then you've got to take that times say 10. It's crazy. So some of these little things can add up. One tire, but you start adding it to 10 trucks. Or, you know, because I usually have about 10 trucks that run Virgin. A lot of the rest are recaps. So directional tire, yeah, we'll see how it runs out. And if you guys are running these tires, I'd love to know how they've been wearing for you, especially in the northern climate. You know, probably if you're in the south, you're probably not putting these on, but in the northern climate, one of the problems that we had with the HD3 hybrid was little stones would get stuck in the tread, and they would not come out. So they would not release that little piece of stone, and it would keep pushing in further and further and further, and eventually ruin the casing. And some of them, like, we were not even half wore out, and there were stones that eventually, after they would drill in really deep, they would come out, and then you could see wires in there. It was pretty crazy. If you guys are running these tires, let me know. I'd love some feedback. I really don't know hardly anybody, if anybody, that is running those tires, and I'm eager to see feedback. Here's where we keep some of our used tires as well. Just kind of some spares when we go to change a set of tires or whatever. We kind of have our spares out here. We say we have a good tire that's left on, or we had to swap a tire out or whatever. This kind of fluctuates. Sometimes we have a lot, sometimes don't have that many. But, you know, tire wear is something that we've been trying to really get a hold of. We have Continental, one of their guys is coming out to help educate us on, you know, detecting things, you know, when a tire starts to go, like say you have a bad wheel bearing, or just, you know, detecting these little things that will cause really bad tire wear. And basically early, you know, we have to take the tire off early. So I'll share those tips and some of those things with you guys, but it's definitely a challenge to make sure that all of our trucks in what we do, making sure that the tires are wearing correctly, and just, it's a lot of education to make sure that the guys that are servicing the trucks are, you know, rubbing their hands across the tire, making sure it's not cupping, making sure it's wearing even, making sure it's not, irregular tire wear. And then also, like, that's the whole way around. So that's on the drives, on the trailer, you know, on the steers. You want to make sure that everything is right. That's one of the reasons why we're going with the Continental TPMS system. So in those tires, actually, let me show you. I'll show you here real quick. Continental has a TPMS system that can go in any tire. Right here, you can see that little, let me get my light on here. There you go. So that little yellow blob, you could say, is their TPMS system. Let me tell you, the TPMS system works. I'm definitely sold on it. I've had it. We've had it in 2 trucks, and so far, I would say it's paid for itself. Maybe I will save that for another video, but it's definitely something very interesting that, you know, some cool things that I found out through it. But here you go on the tires, and that's kind of why we run what we run with our fleet. Usually what happens is we run Continental HS3 for steers, we run Michelin XDN2 for drives, whether it's a cap or virgin, and then we run the Continental HSR2 for trailer tires on some of our closed tandems, or like, tandem axle trailer closed tandems, and triaxles will run recaps on them. But that's pretty much our lineup, and we run all 16 ply tires. So all right, guys, now, so much, like I was saying, this cold weather sometimes gets depressing, sometimes is not the funnest, but let me tell you, what's pretty cool is I'm getting ready to head out on, you could say, a little bit of vacation, a little bit of work. If you remember, I talked about the captive insurance that we have. I will put Jen's information in the description below. Captive insurance is something that we switched to a little bit ago, probably 2 years ago. I will also post a link for the captive insurance video where I actually talk with Jen. I'll post that up above. If you guys are interested, it's definitely, hopefully, will be saving us a lot of money. It has saved us a lot of money, but it just depends on how we operate, how we do, if we're safe or not. Hence some of the TPMS systems and a lot of safety things that we do just to prevent accidents and to be as safe as possible, because at the end of the day, it comes out of my back pocket if we do. So if we're safe, we get a lot of that premium back. So I'm just going to give you a quick example on captive insurance. Let's just say, this is captive versus traditional, right? Traditional insurance, you have your premium, which is what you pay, yearly, your annual premium. Let's say you have a couple trucks, your annual premium is $100,000, right? So you pay that premium in, you get zero back, right? You get nothing back. When you're in a captive, you pay in basically the same, very similar, $100,000 for your insurance. And if you don't have any claims, you get 65% of that $100,000, you get that back. So who doesn't want to put 65 grand back into your pocket? Yeah. So obviously with our insurance, you can put workman's comp, general liability, and auto liability. That goes into the captive. Obviously, we, with both companies, Sensenig and Flint Creek, we have into the captive those three things. And it's like, absolutely, why not get a big chunk of that premium back? So a lot of larger companies are doing that. And the other thing, before you get too excited, is usually they want to see premiums between $250,000 and $300,000. Every captive is different. Some captives accept smaller companies, but usually they want to see premiums around $250,000 to $300,000. So that gives you just a quick run through on captive insurance. So every year, twice a year, they meet off, like not in the US. It has to be in Canada. It has to be somewhere out of US. I'm not sure why, but this year we are meeting in Bahamas, Nassau, Bahamas. So I will be in Bahamas for a few days, taking my wife down and just hanging out. I'm going to have one day inside through some meetings, and then learning more about captive, and then going to hopefully spend some time in the sun. So maybe I'll take you guys with. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.